My name is Eric. I'm from Stockholm, Sweden. And 3 years ago, if you had told me I would become Muslim, I would have laughed in your face. I was a proud atheist. I thought religion was for weak people who needed fairy tales to cope with life. But then something happened that I cannot explain with logic or science. Something that broke me completely and rebuilt me into someone I never thought I could be. I grew up in a typical Swedish family. We celebrated Christmas, but it was just about presents and food, nothing spiritual. My parents never talked about God. In school, they taught us that science has all the answers, and religion is just ancient superstition. By the time I was 18, I was completely convinced there was no God. I studied engineering at university. Everything had to have a logical explanation. I even used to debate religious people. I felt superior, like I had figured out the truth and they were still living in the dark ages. My life was comfortable. I had a good job, friends, a girlfriend. But deep inside there was this emptiness I couldn't fill. I tried everything, partying, traveling, buying things. Nothing worked. But I told myself this was just life. This is how everyone feels. Then, 2 years ago, that destroyed me. For the first time in my life, I had questions that science couldn't answer. Where did he go? Is he just gone? Forever? Will I never see him again? What's the point of anything if we all just disappear? I fell into deep depression. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't work. I felt like I was drowning. One night at 3 a.m., I was sitting alone in my apartment, crying. I felt so lost, and for the first time in my life, I did something I never thought I would do. I prayed. I didn't even know who I was praying to. I just said out loud, if there's anyone out there, if there's any God, please help me, show me something. I can't do this alone anymore. A few weeks later, I met Ahmed at work. He was a new colleague from Egypt. He was different from anyone I'd ever met. He had this calmness about him, this peace. Even when things went wrong at work, he never got angry or stressed. One day I asked him, Ahmed, how are you always so calm? What's your secret? He smiled and said, I pray 5 times a day. It keeps me connected to God. It reminds me that I'm not in control of everything, and that's okay. I was curious. I started asking him questions about Islam. He never pushed anything on me. He just answered my questions honestly. Then one day he said something that shocked me. Eric, in Islam, we believe that everyone is born with a natural inclination to believe in God. We call it fitra. Maybe you're not an atheist. Maybe you just haven't found the right path yet. That hit me hard. A few days later, Ahmed invited me to his house for dinner. After we ate, he asked, would you like to hear some? Said yes. He played a recitation on his phone. I didn't understand a single word. It was in Arabic. But something happened that I still can't fully explain. As I listened, tears started rolling down my face. I wasn't even sad. I just felt something. Like something inside my chest was waking up after being asleep my whole life. Then Ahmed translated one verse for me. It was from Surah Ar-Rum, chapter 30. And among his signs is that he created for you mates from among yourselves, that you may dwell in tranquility with them. And he has put love and mercy between your hearts. Verily, in that are signs for those who reflect. I broke down completely. I cried like I hadn't cried since my brother died. Because in that moment, I felt it. I felt God. I felt that there was... Ahmed didn't say anything. He just sat there with me while I cried. That night, I went home and I couldn't stop thinking about it. I started reading the Quran in English. I watched videos. I read about Islam. And the more I learned, the more everything made sense. The purpose of life. Why we're here. Where we're going. All the questions I had been running from my whole life, Islam had answers. 2 weeks later, I went back to Ahmed's house and I said, I want to become Muslim. He smiled and we prayed together. I took my shahada. I said, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. And in that moment, I felt free. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was home. It hasn't been easy. Some of my friends stopped talking to me. My parents were confused and worried. People at work looked at me differently when I started praying. But I have something now that I never had before. Peace. Real peace. Not the fake happiness I used to chase, but deep, unshakable peace. I wake up every morning and I know why I'm here. I know where I'm going. And I know that my brother is with Allah. And inshallah, I will see him again.